2 seconds. Give me the elevator pitch of what you do.
What do we do?
Just so we know.
At our core, we are a sales, business development, and leadership training business. And we work with successful businesses who want to get things to the next level, but they're a little worried that their sales cycles are longer than they'd like them to be, and they can't get people to make decisions. Other people aren't getting connected with the right kinds of people and prospects at the levels they'd like. And others get beat up and hammered on price at the end of the deal, and that's no way to sell. So we help people get through that by implementing process and thinking differently about sales. Right? Sales is and we've talked about this a lot, sales is a conversation between adults to get to the truth. That's it.
I love the way that always is put.
It's not, and people have such trepidation about being in a sales role.
Yes.
I'll stop it.
As if it's a bad thing.
It's like a bad thing. Right?
Yeah. You're solution finders.
Yep.
Right? Yeah.
Pain finders, solution finders.
And I'm trying to remember, how did we first meet?
I came by on a boat, and you were standing there, and I came to get gas.
Yeah, right? It's been a while.
15,
it's been a long time.
17 years ago.
I hate to say that, but it's been a long time. Yeah. And you've been a lakefront owner for quite some time.
Boy, almost 20 years.
Look at you. Yep. A boater for 20 years, 30 years?
I grew up on a lake in Maine, and I think I was 6 years old when my grandfather showed me how to use his 9.9 tiller Johnson outboard on an 8-foot aluminum boat.
And that was the start.
That was the start.
You're also a pilot, right? That's your other gig.
You've been creeping on me. You've been.
I just know we've talked about
it.
The pilot stuff too. Yeah.
And it's interesting. So we talk about boating, as you know. We've been advancing our boating, and I've been watching I was practicing what I've heard on your videos, right? Steer then gear, getting into that slip that he kicked me out of. But it made it very easy, and we've been expanding our
boats,
boating experience to bigger boats, bigger waterways, and the aviation and the piloting skills really translate very nicely to boating.
I love training a pilot. Especially
they're a pain in the butt. Right?
Yeah, but you get half of it, right?
They get half of it.
And you're looking to get into bigger boating, right? Because this might be, I don't know, retirement, second, whatever story, 7th inning thing you're going to do.
Yep.
To go get into a bigger boat.
Exactly.
What are you going to do?
That's a great question. I think we've decided not the big, giant 40, 50 footer, but something interesting and nimble that we can travel up the East Coast with. Because as you know, I'm from Maine.
Yeah. So this way you can get up into small areas as well as get all the way down to Intracoastal.
Yep. And
cool.
And we're not doing 8 knots all week.
Yeah.
No offense to people who want to go 8 knots. That's fine.
And you may change your mind.
I may change my mind.
Have you gone to and done any? Have you been a prospect for somebody else in sales? Like gone and looked at boats and had folks talk to you about it? Yeah. And how do you feel about it?
They're not very good. So tip to any of our listeners, if you're going to buy a boat or you're going to buy a car and you've got someone who's clearly a salesperson, and they always ask, what do you do for, you don't, but other people ask, what do you do for a living? Tell them you train salespeople.
Oh, that must be uncomfortable.
They lose their minds. When I bought my last car, the guy said, I told him, he said, Cal, how am I doing? He said, not great. Anyway, I bought the car, but it was
but he had a complex throughout the whole thing.
It was in my favor. Let's tip the scales.
Well, that might be something for you in the future. Semi-retirement, you go sell boats, sell 30 to 40 foot boats that go up the Intracoastal.
You could be onto something, right? I like that. You have connections in that business?
I'm sure I could talk to somebody that would be looking for a guy like you.
So we were talking, and we're doing some lunch things. And one thing I want to talk to you, maybe not right now, but down the road is, you guys have a growth mindset. You've got this place, you've got the Highlands, you've got some other ventures. How do you instill in your team, and you've done great hiring, how do you instill in your team a growth mindset to expand the business?
So 2 questions. How do I have it, and how do
you have it, and how do you instill in others?
That's such a hard thing. That's probably a nurtured nature. Where does it come from? I've thought about this often because my friends have asked me, why do you do things like that? But it's like, or why do you want to keep doing it? It's like, I think it's fun, right? Like, I think there is a innovative, willingness to research or play or ideate. Like there's fun about building things, and you can't do that. To do that, you got to break boundaries and do things that are different. And and then how do you instill that in others? That's a hard part, but I think it's a lot of helping other people see how it serves them best, right? How does it help them for us to have an innovation mindset?
So how does it help them?
Yeah, how does it benefit them?
So what I've seen from you and what I hear you saying is you like coaching. You're a coach.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do like coaching. Yeah. I think I like coaching more when you have success with it.
Of course. So there's a term, let's coach them out, which I'm
Yes.
sure you've done. But yeah,
Yes.
sometimes we got to coach people out. It's not the right place
Yes.
for them
That's
or for
hard.
us. And
That's
that's
hard.
okay.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like, that's a hard part. How about for yourself? Like, how do you have a growth mindset? Where did you come? Is this from grandparents from Maine? Is it like?
It is. It's all of those things. I'm actually doing a TED style talk in a couple of months to a women's leadership giant thing. And I'm not a woman.
No.
And I don't have a lot in common with them. But my story comes from my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mother, my sister were all business people and entrepreneurs.
Really?
They were.
So all the females.
All the female. And my father was.
Oh, father too, yeah, yeah.
My father was as well. He was a business owner for 30 years. But they always did interesting things and they met interesting people and they were helping people improve what they were doing. I think you mentioned flying. I was a flight instructor. I didn't know for a long time that I liked teaching and coaching and helping people get out of their comfort zones and break their boundaries.
I'm hearing that, yeah.
And that's what I do every day of my life now, Ray. And it's a blast.
So you enjoy that?
I do.
Yeah, and then you can wrap it into doing your own thing.
Right.
It's not a bad gig.
I'm probably not employable at this point in my life, nor maybe have I ever been. But
that's not a bad
okay.
thing. Sounds like a weird thing to say, but you're probably right. Like with that, how do you apply that towards people that are in your team? Because I know you've got a team, and you got people. I mean, I know you're pretty good at managing everybody. Well, you tell me. How do you do that with your team?
That's a big leap of an assumption there. I teach it well. Do I do it as well as I could? I don't think any of us do.
Yeah.
But when I was 24 years old, I was very lucky enough to be in front of a guy who now I kind of do what he did, and he would not let us leave the room until we came up with a personal mission statement. And mine turned out to be, and still is, 24 was a little while ago. My job is to help people live life and to lead by example. And I think people see that. I think people on my team see what I do and how I do it. And I'm not going to say I'm never satisfied, but there's always some other interesting path to take. There's another thing we can do to help them. We can challenge them a little bit more. And I only hire curious people. You've got to be curious. We have to have a natural curiosity.
For what you do or just generally in life?
Just in general in life. But there's a guy, I got a nice note from an engineer today, and he said, Cal, I was skeptical about the training because I'm what? An engineer. I don't sell. However, I learned that I can apply all of this that we've been learning to engineering meetings, to client meetings, to internal management, to Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I love, that we can apply all the stuff that we teach to every aspect of life. It's not just about sales.
I agree.
It was funny. We had our executives group out here, and we were actually on this very boat. We got this boat from you guys for the day, which they were blown away. I said, Cal, is this your boat? I'm like, it's not.
Sort of, kind of.
Sort of, kind of, yeah. We borrow it. So we came by and tooted. But anyway, we did some business on this boat.
That's great.
And it's just, I like to mix things up. We can go in a conference room, or you can go on a Zoom call. We all go on Zoom calls all the time. And today I came by, you said I came by boat. Sometimes we need to give ourselves a break and go do something fun. Right? You know, we're big time blockers. I have a time block. It's
You
called
are a big time blocker.
Big time blocker. I can't say I'm perfect at it, but I have a time block that's purple.
Right.
And you had mentioned the word earlier, fun. I have purple time blocks during the week.
Oh, nice.
Are they pay time or no pay time? I don't care. If I don't have fun, a little like you said about the growth mindset, then I'm not going to do stuff that's not fun. I have to make it fun.
Yeah, what are you doing it for? Was this a fun thing?
Well, interesting. This is two colors, right?
Okay,
this is
double dipped on
processing.
this
Yeah,
one.
we did. But if you can have fun doing the things you're supposed to do, and makes it easier, and then I get to come out, hang out, and talk to you and Becca.
I'm just always curious, like in regards to how you got to Lake Hopatcong if you're from Maine. Like, what was the story to get you here and to get you on the water of all places?
This is a short video, right? So I grew up in Maine. My grandfather in the 50s built a camp on a lake in Maine.
And remind folks what a camp is if they've never heard of it.
Oh, a camp is, it's a small, some people call them a cottage. It's a little rustic. It's not a big fancy home like we have a lot of these on Lake Hopatcong. There used to be cabins and cottages here. But it's a small rustic thing. Right? Might have a septic. You get water out of the lake, or you go swim in the lake. That's your shower.
And that was his thing in the summer.
That was our thing.
All summer?
Almost all summer.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And for probably 25 years, I went there at least for a portion of every summer. So when I came here, which is a much longer story, You've met Vicky, and that's why I'm here. I decided I'd take a chance, and I bought a little house on the other side of the lake. And
so you're drawn. You want to get back to a camp style. You want to be on the water.
I'm a water guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I get my energy from water, and I like it.
Fair enough. Yeah. What do you like about Lake Hopatcong?
I didn't think I would.
What is that?
It's in New Jersey, but I didn't know New Jersey looked like this.
New Jersey is one of the best states there is, right?
It is a beautiful place, and we can talk about the business climate. That's another video. But
yes.
There are a lot of good things. We live in a beautiful place. We got smart people. They're well educated. We've got access to New York City. We've got the arts. And
a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. And you wake up and go to sleep every day looking at a lake. I mean,
it's not a bad gig.
Not bad, yeah.
And probably majority of your clients come from a lot of the organizations down like Morristown area or further? Or?
They used to.
Yeah.
Now we've got clients in 27 states and 3 countries, and COVID did a lot of things, good and bad, but it opened up the world for a lot of people.
Yeah, and you work for little guys like micro companies too.
We've got solopreneurs, and I've got a $68.2 billion euro company.
Wow.
Yeah. I like the.
It's pretty diverse.
I like the little guys the best though.
Oh,
they're more fun, and we have more impact, and they can execute.
Yeah. We can move a little bit faster.
A lot faster.
Yeah, that's pretty broad. But you can't. And by the way, you can do that in New Jersey because one, you have access to just about anything.
As you know, we're the most densely populated state in the country.
Yeah.
And we've got a great market here.
Like what don't folks understand about sales training and about leadership training? What stops them from doing it?
Oh, that's an excellent question. Very few people have the insight to ask that. And the biggest obstacle is, and I hate to say it out loud, but it's complacency.
Yeah.
We're doing just fine.
Complacency resonates with me because it's like, I feel we're really good at it.
Right.
But when? All the time? For every season?
Yep.
And I think therein is probably some of my complacency or issues is it's like, and that's probably something we should engage in is like, I need a check. Yeah. Like a health check. Yep. Okay, let's talk it. Let's go through things. Why are you doing that? Because I bet you I fall off as well. I know I do. Let's just be honest.
Can I admit that I do too?
Yeah, we all do.
We all do.
Yeah.
That may be another one, Ray, is I won't engage with a company, big or small, if their leadership is not engaged.
They got to be bought in. I remember you
They've got to be bought in.
Yeah.
If they're not, the training's not going to take. It's not going to be reinforced, and then it appears that I fail.
Yeah,
we train a lot of people. I'm pretty sure the stuff works, but if it's not reinforced and managed and coached, it certainly doesn't work as well.
Yeah, no, I remember you doing that with me, and I got involved, and I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
But I think this is a lot of fun.
It is.
But I do remember part of it was like, I think I got this.
Mm-hmm.
And then having to slow down and go, I think I need to adjust a couple degrees here and there, and that can be hard, especially when you have habits.
When you have habits, it's also hard when you're the leader. It's harder when you're the leader in front of your team being confronted with doing things a little differently.
Yeah.
We had one recently, and the person is the leader of a very large statewide organization. We'll leave it at that. And she's fantastic, and she does things a certain way. And I said, we can't do it unless you're involved. And she was involved every step, every training program. And she's just made a very nice referral to me. Nice. She changed her behaviors and some of her habits pretty significantly.
Worked out well, I assume?
Very well.
Really well?
I was surprised. I think I was more surprised than she was. But it's nice to see that change. But she's open-minded, has a growth mindset, and was willing to listen and change.
I imagine, do you run into obstacles with folks like what's the, do they see the return on investment, or it's hard to understand the return on investment? Or can you prove a return on investment? Is that a conversation?
Can we prove one? Sure. Can I guarantee one? No.
I can't imagine at all.
I can't tell you, I can't ensure that you're going to do the behaviors. I can't ensure that you're going to follow the process. But do we see them? Can we track them? Absolutely. You sell more. You have less turnover. There's all kinds of KPIs.
Happier guests.
Happier guests. Different interactions. We did DISC with your team, and what I find with everybody we do that with, number one, it's so much fun.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
And number two, the internal team gets along better and understand each other better.
It was interesting with that one, and just to give it a good, because you did that with the entire team. Yeah. We were all surprised at what people were. Yeah. Was the interesting thing, like, just people were surprised at what character they were.
Yeah.
And I'd say the neat thing about it is it kind of, cool thing is for, a couple months or a month or two, is like everybody kind of reacted to that, responded to folks with that, like, oh, he's this and she's that, and we got to manage that. The only challenge is it kind of dwindled over time.
Right.
And I don't know if you should do that quarterly, and just because the longer that hung around would be better. Because another time we did squiggles and squares and triangles. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Yep.
And that lasted for a couple months, and folks forget.
And it's all about the reinforcement.
Yeah.
So when we do disc, we got little signs, and based on their communication preference style, they'll put it on their office or on their cube or on their Zoom name or on something, so people can be reminded of it.
That's a good idea.
Consistently. That's fun.
Yeah. That was a fun one too. I forgot all about that.
I don't want to brag about it, but I do recommend you guys.
Brag away.
I recommend you guys all the time. Anybody says, "Hey, Cal, what are you going to do in Lake Hopatcong?" I had a call last week, and she said, "Cal, you live up in the sticks." And I thought, "Sure, okay. Can you tell me?" And I said, "I can. Go here, and by the way, go to Bridge Marina." And I probably should have done a formal introduction. I said, "I bet they would be happy to have you do a photo shoot on their dock with the boats behind it."
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, that's great." So I know we do that all the time, and our friends do. So I'm curious, if we were sitting here on the back of a boat and there were some other people here, other business owners, what would you tell them? And maybe you tell them nothing, but what would you tell them about why should they engage with Sandler or engage with our team?
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'm feeling, great question. I'm jumping back to the probably the changes or the difference you don't see. Like, go back to, I jump on a return on investment from a business. Like, what's the return? Right. And I'm like, it's the residuals that last so much longer than the initial training. So I'll go back to, we haven't done this in a little bit, and like, boy, I can just see how much better we are at engaging with guests, connecting with guests, post training. One of the other great results from working with it was like, I didn't see long enough. Yeah, because I don't know, we were initially engaged years ago and did stuff, and it's like, I'm still feeling the effect from years ago. You just forget. It's been a good relationship. I really enjoyed the stuff you've brought to the table, and I feel myself and the rest of the team were better for it.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, and it's fun. You've been great with our team, and great with this interview.
This was fun.
Yeah, it really
good
is.
questions.
Yeah,
I love your bridge theme.
Yeah, one of the fun
Building
things.
Bridge is such a cool.
It's worked out pretty well. I got to say, one of the other fun things with you is like, we'll call just to say hi or chat, and all of a sudden we'll get into some conversation about whatever it is, strategy or this and that. And it's always like, it's always interesting.
It is interesting.
Like, I really appreciate your perspective. Yeah. And
you make me think hard about things too.
And vice versa, because you'll test me on a couple of ththings. I'm like, God, I didn't think about that one. Yeah. And I always find that fun. So I always enjoy chatting with you about stuff, especially business or strategy. And it's like, because it challenges me. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is great. I appreciate you coming out today and doing this.